Okay. Okay. I don't know how you roll.
L'chaim.
L'chaim Levans. L'chaim Levans. L'chaim.
Chaim.
So,
Howard.
Chaim. Elliot L'chaim. Well, this is great. I can't believe we're starting our 19th podcast. Howard, it seems like just yesterday.
Just yesterday. I'm glad we can start with some whiskey. This is a different format today than our usual.
And I think it's because our guest has a soft spot, actually a very round spot and a large spot for the whiskey. But we have a very special guest who comes to our community.
Are we going to be talking about whiskey the whole evening?
And not all the time, but there's a lot that we need to cover because with us today is Elliot Cohen, all the way from Part S Stuff. Elliot Cohen, welcome to B2B Mob. Hi.
Thank you for having me. Welcome to the mob.
Thank you. So, Elliot, we've heard so much about you. I know you have community marketing. You're actually a full-time financier. Is that true?
That is true.
But don't put our audience to sleep. But just tell us in like 1 minute, what is it that you do on the full time?
Well, in my full-time day job, I work for a Swiss bank. I run the office here in Israel. We look after private banking clients in Israel, some in the UK, some in South Africa, and we manage their wealth across Switzerland, London, Luxembourg, wherever, all financial centers across Europe.
Incredible. Yeah. You know, I can understand why you thought to bring someone with such passion, flair, such an exciting and dynamic background to B2B Mob. Howard, what was you thinking about?
My thinking was, we both know Elliot a bit.
Yeah.
And I hope he doesn't get in trouble for joining our podcast. But
why would I get in trouble?
Well, you have a full-time job, like you said, with big finance, with a big finance company. But what else do you do?
Yeah, you have a couple of side gigs. Can you tell? And I understand that you're a bit of a foodie. Is that right?
I am. Yeah, I am. I do have a passion for food.
Yeah,
artisan food, which led me to during COVID, of course, when everybody was bored at home with food.
Yeah.
I decided to delve into setting up my own food business here in Ra'anana, which grew pretty nicely to the point that a couple of years ago I sold it. And it sort of ended up becoming a big part of my life.
I can't believe it. So you're saying that you are a part-time entrepreneur and you have an exit on that business?
We can use the word exit with a small.
Well, that
how right? Don't knock it down so much. I mean, people in high tech,
this is the high tech dream.
Like, if you're bootstrapping and then an exit, that's where the founders can walk away with actual money.
And so, was it actual money, or is it more snack money, or is it?
I mean, well, it was actual money, hard currency.
I didn't see you right up on calculators. Tell us how many zeros before the decimal.
How many zeros before the
putting him on the spot? It's probably
there was enough zeros to make it meaningful.
I thought we were going to get into it. So, can you tell what is it? You have this full-time passion, and then yet you, like many and every other Israeli, make time to be an entrepreneur on the side. How is it that you have a full-time responsible job? It sounds pretty important, using words like Luxembourg and you don't even know where that is in Africa. But so that sounds pretty adult, and yet you still dedicate time to growing a food business and exiting.
I think, look, on the time point of view, when a lot of people started home businesses during COVID, right, and the time issue then was obvious because you literally were going to the office and you had time and it wasn't going out.
Well, you had 24 hours a day to be.
Yeah, you could really kind of, you felt like you needed to be doing stuff instead of sitting at home. So the time, in its origin, the time thing made sense. As it grew, I had other people working for me doing it. I had to like drivers and people doing deliveries and stuff and marketing. So it kind of grew. I wasn't doing everything myself, but it did require a lot of time. And to be honest with you, I think I get a buzz out of kind of juggling multiple things.
I was just about to ask something along that. Wasn't it just COVID? What did you feel inside that said, I want to do this? I want to do a separate, regardless whether it's food or it could be anything, it could be writing a book, but like what made you say, I want to start a business right now?
I think, to be honest, the thing I enjoyed the most about it, and I now sort of set up another kind of food type of business, is I enjoy the actual like the creative part of it. So like with the salmon, it was a smoked salmon business, but with the salmon, what I used to enjoy was like we used to make gravlax as well, which is not to get too technical, but is a kind of
a thicker slice,
thicker cured salmon. Use different flavors. Right?
Wait, did you ever have it?
Oh my gosh. I think that there's a line item. It was rent, and then there was Gravlax expenses.
So yeah, and then you used to be able to like infuse different flavors, and they used to come up with like, you know, like gin and beetroot and you know,
whiskey water.
like, nice. Yeah, we had all loads of different flavors. We had pate with different flavors. And I used to love getting the feedback, you know, like people used to really like it.
What was it about this job and this business that you couldn't find that fulfillment in your regular work? Because
I think my regular work just really isn't creative in any sense, and the food business for me at least was like a creative outlet. That's how I look at it. Plus, it made money. It was actually a really good business. Like,
so, as an entrepreneur, most of our entrepreneurs that we know measure in terms of dollars, ARR, ACV. You know, they are really using those metrics. But you seem to have like this soft spot about. So, what were the metrics of am I growing a real business, or is this just a hobby that pays for itself? How did you know which one it was going to be?
Well, I didn't do it for the money, right? If that's the question. Like I didn't set it up in order. I had and still have, you know, a good full-time job. But I did it just because I kind of enjoyed it. And the payoff for me was just kind of being successful, like having people give me good feedback, you know, like it's the best smoked salmon in Israel.
The creativity that you were saying. I want to drill down on the creativity because I think that's something that a lot of people, let's say, more focused on the revenue, like you're saying, they often say it's not that creative, or I think like you said, getting the feedback, doing the work, that is creativity.
Let's hear about that.
Let's drill down.
I think there's something, and it's not only the creativity, but it's also in a world where there's so many mass market players of smoked salmon or, you know, frozen fish. Here you're fighting to distinguish yourself. How did you do that? The creativity, the community, and just the general persona you were able to embody and imbue within Elliot Cohen Sons. How did you do that?
Big question, Jake. Big question.
It's layers.
There are several layers. I'll be honest with you. The biggest, like, the thing I had going for my thing was like this, the British community here in Israel, because we sold it in kind of like a British style smoked salmon. I used to advertise a lot in that Brits Living in Israel Facebook group, and had Brits all over the country, literally from Haifa. I used to deliver Haifa. I delivered Katzrin. We went all the way down to Rehovot. All British, not all British, but mainly British people from all around. And it was that kind of little community within a community that just, they loved the product. And it kind of just kept growing. Like
Did you do paid advertising?
Zero.
Okay, so
all word of mouth.
Just word of mouth.
What does that mean? How did you spread the gospel besides just endlessly spamming people on Facebook?
I very rarely posted on Facebook. I posted on Brits Living in Israel a few times, and then it was literally just word of mouth. And I sold out every week. Every week I sold out.
Howard, what can you take from?
Yeah, that's the power of it. You said Facebook group and WhatsApp groups, and definitely a great product. And you always, I think you have to start from a great product perspective.
Yeah,
but
that isn't enough, and that certainly is not enough.
No,
you see a lot
of you can have the best product in the world if you're not tapped into a group, at least to get started. Word of mouth is a very strong channel.
There's also something very social about food that one person buys, but 10 people experience when you're buying Vox, right? It's a party food, so it actually has this network effect. Is that crazy that I'm using these marketing terms? What?
No, it makes sense. That's why I like to think of these things, and then how do we translate this into our?
I want to take
to our enterprise $1 billion software.
So why we're brewing?
How do we make that into a bite-size piece of blocks?
So I have to think, what do we do with that in the digital sphere? Because there's a lot of gems here, which I wouldn't expect. But what would you say? Now you're doing another entrepreneurial venture that I know. Tell us if you can open the curtain a little bit and tell us what's behind the scenes. What are you cooking in the new business?
Well, it's entirely focused on bubble tea. Are you guys familiar with bubble tea?
I know bubble
Your kids familiar?
Yeah, I do bubble tea.
Yeah, but maybe
no offense, it's not my favorite drink. No, but I
maybe
love tea. I love tea.
Not sure I like bubble tea is is originally from Taiwan, right? It's kind of these highly Instagrammable, very pretty looking
It
drinks
does look
with
nice.
little either chewy bubbles or popping bubbles, which are made of tapioca flour.
Yeah.
At the bottom, and it's exploded in the last couple of years. I think one because of social media, because it's such a visual product, it just looks so great, and secondly because the margins are so high,
Crazy.
it's even the margins are even higher than the coffee business because you're really just selling people the bubbles and syrup.
It's syrup,
right?
Water.
Right. So it's a really profitable business, and it's also again like for me that kind of like creative, visually.
You mix the
attractive.
drinks.
Yeah, we do alcoholic drinks. So we do alcoholic, which is something I'm really kind of passionate about, I guess. But we make some really, really nice drinks, good tasting drinks. People love them, and that's where I get my thrill. That's where I get That's why I do it because I just enjoy giving people products that they really like.
You know, we could say the same thing about software. We enjoy making people's digital journeys a lot easier. We enjoy that they have safer banking. I don't know if that.
Well, you know what I'm hearing. Again, you mentioned it before and you mentioned it now. You're getting joy out of this. I think this taps into something that a lot of entrepreneurs are. If you're just doing something to just try to make money, there are many ways to do it. You can literally you can work a job, right? A 9 to 5, you can make money. If you really want to dive into something, there needs to be a passion behind it. And I think we see that in a lot of entrepreneurs in the high tech space as well. If you're just focused on, I just want the revenue, then you probably lose sight of why you're even doing it.
But can you give us the metrics? Like, give us a sense of where you are in the curve, on the growth curve, in bubble tea versus Gravlocks. Have you accelerated faster? Are you at the same spot? First
of all, I have a partner doing the bubble tea. So first of all, it's half the work. The salmon, I think, took off a lot quicker and grew a lot quicker because it was almost like a monopoly in the sense that there is some smoked salmon in Israel, but it's not quite English standard. Whereas bubble tea is already here, right? You can go to Tel Aviv, there's bubble tea shops as well in Hod HaSharon. So people can kind of buy a good bubble tea, and we're focusing more on kind of like events. So it's been a little slower trajectory, I would say. We probably need to think about a marketing strategy which is a little more aggressive than what I did with the salmon. You guys know that can help us. But yeah, I think there's massive potential for it. I think the whole bubble tea market is a rising tide, and I think we're kind of going to rise with it. I really think.
Are you worried that it's a trend?
Yeah, I mean, kind of frappuccinos and caramel lattes were a trend at one point. And
there's the right kind of thing.
I think we're good. I think there's a big enough market here for us.
Elliot, at one point in my life, I was an entrepreneur. I remember it was 16 months of knowing. And it went digging. And then, thank God it rained. And it poured, but there was drought. And I was all in. And my friend who told me he was really in, he said, if you're not willing to sit and sleep on the couch and eat popcorn for meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you're not an entrepreneur. You have to be ready. And then now when you have a family, you have all these people. So that's really all in entrepreneurship.
Yes.
But I don't know if we're at that stage. So you're juggling, you have a partner, but how all in are you when you were doing this? It sounds like you're still hobbyist, but you're not all in. Like, what can we?
That's my sweet spot.
Yeah, so you're not all in.
I'm not all in.
What do you think?
There was a time when I was considering stopping my job at the bank in order to take the salmon full time, and I'm talking like by investing in a premises and a license, and start up Rio and to that Ashura, and then selling across the country to caterers, to hotels, to restaurants. I think and the person who bought the business was ultimately thinking about doing exactly that. He hasn't quite put that into action, but that I think was a step that I was seriously considering. But ultimately, I just didn't leave kind of my comfort. I didn't feel ready to kind of leave my comfort zone.
It's interesting. We heard that from another previous guest who had a different take. Like you said, it's kind of, he had to stop what he was doing in order to focus on growing his business. But people do it; they're happy. You said just before you found the sweet spot for yourself. Yeah, so nothing wrong with working your full-time job and then having a very successful side hustle.
It's very true, but it's very true with very little. I imagine there's little upfront cost, very fixed capital that you need to do this. There's no marketing spend here. That's not necessarily the way of most, I think, business. Maybe AI is shrinking that.
I think we can tackle. There are definitely like hooks here. The community building. You don't always have to aim for that $1 billion unicorn VC backed. That target is set because you're taking on $20 million, $50 million VC investment. If you're passionate about something, you sell a great product, go to market, use the channels that are available at the right cost, sleep on the couch if you have to, find those communities, because that works now. The cost of entry to the market is much cheaper these days if we're talking specifically SaaS software.
But let's just put this in, because many people have big, wide eyes when they want to be on. They want to go crazy. Now, I think that Elliot sounds like he's a little bit more conservative. He's doing it as a passion project on the side for fun. But there's no how big is this TAM. There's huge. You're not thinking. You're not setting out in that vein to conquer even the Israeli market. You're actually just more tempered in your goals. So you can be tempered with your investments and your goals. Essentially, you're making a side hustle on a fun business. That's what you're making. That's what you do. You're not. Is that true?
You did have a dream, though. You just said you had it.
But then you pulled back, and that's
pulled back. It's always in the back of my mind thinking what could have been.
The Salmon King.
Yeah. You got to make it cool at one point, and ultimately somebody wanted to come and buy that business. So if I wouldn't have had that offer, maybe I would have continued it and tried to grow. But ultimately, if you get an offer someone wants to buy,
it's incredible. It's an inspirational story for many of us who are trapped in jobs who they don't necessarily are not getting full excitement on, but they are managing a lot of envelopes and a lot of bank accounts, and they just want to do other work that you can build, that you can make time to do those passion projects. If you were to give a word of wisdom to someone who's just starting out in their career right now, and they're thinking, "Oh, I should become a banker. That's what my father was, my grandfather was, and all these things, or I can be an entrepreneur." How can you guide them now? I know you've got kids, and they're probably
become a banker.
Well, they're not becoming
Don't become a banker. Don't become a lawyer.
Well, no one wants to advise them to do what you did, but how you have this two polar opposite experiences, and you have to guide the next generation. You're our role model. I know that's hard to hear, but for many people, you're a role model to the next generation. What would you give as words of wisdom to
like I see in the finance industry, like the junior job market is just changing, not even year by year, like month by month. It's crazy. The pace of change is just crazy, and I really don't know how those kind of juniors and those kind of new entrants into the job market are gonna. I feel like totally unqualified to be able to predict how that's going to pan out over the next year.
What do you mean? Are you saying that their
jobs have just disappeared? At least in our bank.
Is it like an AI thing? Is it just the volume?
I think it's like an automation thing. Yeah, like jobs that kind of those juniors used to do are just disappearing. And you hear in like the legal profession as well, like apparently there are law firms that just hire juniors just so that they'll eventually become middle managers.
I was on that track. I was on that track, right? You go to law school and you get a job.
So I really, I don't know. I think it's a really scary kind of picture to paint.
But then on the other side, you're an entrepreneur. So you are a successful entrepreneur who has built community marketing, has exited from the fish, phenomenon. If I can use the alliteration, the fish phenomenon, and now you're moving into the bubble tea. I don't want to say it's a bubble, but I'm saying that you're pumping up bubble tea. Yeah. What advice would you say to the young person about whether they need to be successful?
Listen, if you've got a passion for something, then I think the entrepreneurial road is by far better than working for someone else. Like if you can work for yourself and you're happy to do it, and like you said, you're happy to sleep on the couch or on the park bench, like the rewards at the end are just far infinitely greater than 9 to 5 working for some big company. For sure, I would advise people to do that, especially given what I just said about children. Yeah, it makes total sense.
Howard, what do you have to add to that?
No, like I said before, I think you need to be passionate about something. If you're passionate about your job, then stick with your job. If you're not, look for something else. And I think in many ways, being an entrepreneur or opening a business, the barrier to entry to a lot of things are much lower these days. Yeah. To start a business using AI to get just your logo going, people used to sit there and scratch for weeks to try to with a name and a logo, but you can get your business.
My son and his friends, they're 16.
Yeah.
They live here. You know the son, my son's friend as well, but I won't mention the name. They have, I don't even understand what they do, but I know that they're selling a lot of clothes to people in Israel that is coming from China.
Like a dropship.
It's like drop shipping, but it's kind of through TikTok. They have like a
TikTok shop.
Something like that. And he's making real money from it. Like he's really making money from
That's what I'm saying. I think
and they're giving him all these sponsorship deals and stuff. I mean, it's like
beautiful.
And I don't even understand like what he's doing, you know.
Well, you know, I think you do understand, and you role model that from your.
I think he does definitely like sense it from me, and that's why he got into it. But he really takes it seriously, and he's grown this thing, and he's got however many followers on TikTok and the rest of it. Him and his partner.
Yeah,
it's super impressive. It's super impressive.
I'm going to say two major things. One is the importance of branding in community. I think that Cohen and Sons or the Fish Empire.
He's the son, though.
Yeah. And this
he really ran the business, right? Is what you're saying. You're just the front, the face.
I think it's okay to dabble in entrepreneurship. I'm on an all-in type of guy, but I think it's also fair to have that with passion projects, and if they can turn into businesses, God bless.
Yeah.
Elliot Cohen, thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us today.
Hi, thank you for having me.